I cannot build in confusion. I discussed my non-negotiables. For the first time in years, I could breathe. That is what standards do. They return oxygen to your soul. The High Value Woman podcast. Founder of the High Value Woman Academy. My name is Nse, an international etiquette consultant. Welcome to the High Value Woman podcast. Today's episode is not just a conversation. It is a boundary. It is a reminder. It is a return to yourself. Now let us begin with a truth that will shift everything. Standards are not walls to keep people out. They are doors that only the right ones will have the key to open. Today, we're diving deep into something foundational: standards. The non-negotiable lines you draw to protect your peace, preserve your power, and honor your growth. As women, especially high-value women, we are thought to be everything to everyone, but no one teaches us how to say no without guilt, how to set boundaries without fear, and how to uphold standards without apology. But here's the truth. Every time you lower your standards to accommodate dysfunction, you abandon yourself. In this episode, we are not just talking about setting boundaries. We are talking about becoming the kind of woman who refuses to negotiate with chaos. This isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. It's not about pushing people away. It's about protecting the garden God gave you to tend, your soul. A high-value woman does not argue for her worth. She enforces it with clarity, kindness, and conviction. Standards are not about being rigid or controlling. They are not about punishing other people. They are about honoring yourself. Now, when you set standards, you're saying, I will no longer participate in what depletes me. I will not beg for peace in spaces I was never meant to remain in. I will no longer negotiate with chaos, because chaos will always try to convince you to stay. But peace only enters where it is permitted. I once stayed in a relationship that constantly stole my peace. He was unpredictable, sweet one day, distant the next, kind when it was convenient, cold when I needed warmth, and I justified it. I called it his trauma. I called it patience. But in truth, I was betraying myself. I remember the night I sat down, opened my journal, and wrote the words. What do I actually need or want in a relationship? The answer was simple: consistency, clarity, presence, peace, effort, emotional safety. He did not meet them. He did not even try. And so I chose peace. I walked away and I never looked back. Because walking away was not the loss. Staying would have been. There was another season in my life when I said yes to things my soul was screaming no to. I let people overstay their welcome in my life because I was afraid of being labeled as too much or too proud. But the more I said yes to them, the more I said no to me, and that is a wound I had to heal from. The moment I chose peace and enforced a boundary, that is when everything changed. The day I said, I'm not available for disrespect, something shifted. I don't need to raise my voice. I didn't need to justify myself. I just stood tall in silence. And chaos knew it had no access here anymore. That day I realized peace is a powerhouse. For the first time in years, I could breathe. That is what standards do. They return oxygen to your soul. When you start setting standards and having boundaries, the right people will not be offended. They will rise to meet them. There was a time I was getting to know someone new. He was kind, he was considerate, he was consistent. But I had learned through pain that kindness without clarity could still become chaos. So from the beginning, I made one thing clear. I discussed my non-negotiables. I cannot build in confusion. He listened. He nodded. But I could tell he was not used to a woman saying that upfront. Fast forward a few weeks later, he began sending mixed signals, delayed responses, sudden disappearances, then warm again, then cold. The old me would have written it off as, maybe he's just busy. But the healed me paused and said, no, silence should not create anxiety. Connection should not feel like guessing. So I called him calm, not confrontational. And I said, I am noticing a pattern that doesn't feel aligned with the kind of emotional honesty and safety I require. If this is not working for you, I honor that, but I won't continue with uncertainty. There was a long silence, and then he said something that surprised me. No woman has ever said that to me. So directly, without anger, without insult. Thank you. You just helped me see myself. I want to do better. From that moment, everything shifted. He began to show up differently, more present, more thoughtful, more real. And whether or not that relationship lasted doesn't matter. What mattered most is that I showed up for me. The right people will not be offended by your standards. They will rise to meet them. Today, I want you to take away a few things. Peace arrives where chaos is no longer tolerated. You do not have to fix people. You do not have to explain your need for calm. You simply have to stop choosing environments that destabilize you. Your standards reflect how you value yourself. If you allow emotional inconsistency, manipulation, or neglect, it is not just about them. It is also about what you believe you deserve. Your standards are not for debate. If someone is uncomfortable with your boundaries, they were never meant to sit at your table. Guilt is a signal of growth. When you start saying no, expect discomfort. But remember, it's your old self shedding. Don't confuse growth pains with wrong decisions. Self-care begins with self-respect. The most powerful form of self-care is honoring what you know is true for you and acting accordingly. Boundaries are not rejection, they are protection. They protect your time, they protect your spirit, and they protect your future. Take a moment. Sit quietly. Write down your top 3 emotional standards. Ask yourself, what do I require to feel emotionally safe? What kind of behavior can I no longer excuse? What does peace look like in my relationships? Then audit your relationships. Who aligns with your sacred standards? Who constantly violates them? Who only honors your boundaries when it is convenient? This is not about judgment. It is about discernment. You're not called to exhaustion. You are called to excellence. Say this with me. My presence is premium. My standards are divine boundaries. Not because I am unkind, but because I have finally remembered who I am. I am not for crumbs. I am for calm, clarity, and covenant. I do not negotiate with chaos. I protect my peace because peace is my power. If this episode resonates with you, share it with a friend and join the High Value Woman Academy. Until next time, may your boundaries be firm, may your heart be protected, and may your presence be unshakable. Because you're the High Value Woman, and your peace is not up for negotiation.